Dakota, with regards to your culvert root cellars, if you had the shelving, could you stack produce all the way up to the lid? Would there be any added benefit to put in a second insulated barrier below the lid? And then Rob and Dakota, I'm considering digging a pond to collect snowmelt runoff and rainwater. My property is relatively flat, but I was thinking I could fill up the pond in the winter with snow I'm plowing off the driveway. Any thoughts? What would I need to do in order to purify the water enough to put on my vegetables? You guys are great. Thanks for everything. Thanks for making this happen, Curtis. I've got more questions for Rob and Dakota. If you ever come back on the Q&A. So I guess like first part is, the questions about the insulated barrier and the culvert, Dakota.
Yeah. So and if folks haven't seen this, the root cellar video is on from the field site. Essentially, it's just a culvert stuck vertically in the ground. Typically, they're 6, 7, or 8 foot diameters, about 10 feet in the ground. And then I just stack boxes. I either have washed rock or gravel or concrete on the bottom, depends. And I just stack boxes filled with vegetables, and some are in sawdust, some aren't. And I put them all the way up to the ceiling. And
the ceiling at the top of the culvert?
At the top, or as high as I can reach, properly. Because
was that an 8-foot culvert?
The one that I showed, it was a 6. It was quite small. The reason why I like the 8s is there's just way more room to work around in them. The 6 that was the first one we built. It was too small. But now that I've done the 8 and I know that the temperature is actually, it's better for some reason. We used a thicker insulative roof. We used 2x8s we live in 3B. So you don't need a second insulated layer. I would just go with, make sure you got a 2 foot or 2x8 minimum insulated roof, or you can go more if you want. And then I stack them right up to the ceiling. And this is the important part, is that as the winter progresses, the frost goes deeper in the ground. And so if you're using those vegetables on the upper shelves and your kind of stacks are dropping down, they're fine. Because wow, I have had that where if you get a really cold, or if we had 2 weeks of -40 last year, and I hadn't used quite enough of my vegetables, and the top inch on the highest boxes did freeze, but everything else was fine.
Wow.
So that's something that you can do is it just kind of works out, is that the longer you go into the year, the deeper the frost goes, but the temperature is warmer at the bottom, and so you just kind of work your way down.
Dakota, would you agree that is probably the most inexpensive and easiest way to build a root cellar?
Hands down, it is
so simple,
the cheapest. However, they're the downsides that I talk about is they're not great to access in and out all the time. Like if you're doing commercial vegetable stuff for homesteading, it's perfect. And the other downside is if you have a high water table, they will not work.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like $2,000.
And just put a little simple structure over top of it, right?
Over it.
Little tool shed or something.
Yeah, and I've seen guys put you could put a hoop house over it.
Yeah.
And then they're actually benefiting each other, because you could actually have the thing open, and the ground heat could kind of work in and out. To buffer the cold temperatures in the roots or the greenhouse or something like that.
Interesting.
So yeah, so in that particular, in the one I showed in the video, which was a 6-foot diameter culvert but only 2x6 roof, the first couple years that we used it, we didn't have it, the lid itself wasn't insulated, and which is crazy, but it still didn't freeze. Except one year it did freeze pretty bad inside. And so we had to hang a light bulb inside. And that light bulb was enough to,
right.
I mean, you want a light bulb in there to see anyways. And so you could just put it on a thermostatic timer so that worst case scenario would come on. However, like I said, if we've gone to 2x8 in our newer ones, and I've had those high-low thermostats down there, and the temperature doesn't vary by more than 0.1 or 2 of a degree the whole winter. And last year was one of the coldest winters we've ever had on record. So, those are just some insights that you could think about for that.
So that was the first part of that question. That's a perfect answer.